And joining us today in our Book Talk segment, great to welcome author of a very interesting book called The Longest Road, Overland in Search of America from Key West to the Arctic Ocean. We're joined by a journalist and also winner of the Pulitzer Prize, Philip Caputo, today by telephone. And Phil, good to talk to you. How are you today?
I'm just fine. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, I had a chance to read through the book, and then you did something which I think a lot of people think about doing, just getting in a car or a van or whatever and just hitting the road and going as far as you can, and you went about as far as you can go, didn't you?
Yeah, I started from about as far as you can start, which was down in Key West, Florida, the southernmost point in the continental U.S., and drove to Dead Horse, Alaska, which is on the Arctic Ocean. That's as far as you can go north.
Yeah, I know you.
I rode anyway.
Yeah, you talk a little bit in the book about our area, coming through Tampa Bay area and up through, I guess, Tamiami Trail. So we know that well down here. That was the beginning of your trip from the Key West through, and then which I found interesting, just the kind of different people you met along the way. I mean, obviously you took a lot of stops along your trip. Did these people just kind of happen to be there? Did you kind of search out interesting people, or how did that go?
No, as far as meeting and interviewing people, I left that almost entirely up to serendipity. Just whoever I ran into and whoever I struck up a conversation with. I didn't have any plans ahead of time of either individuals or types of people that I would speak to, just whatever came along. Or I should say whoever came along.
Well, you prove again that America is filled with interesting people.
Yeah, it is, and certainly in interesting places. I was impressed by how people that might be commonly described as ordinary Americans or everyday Americans almost all of them had a story to tell that certainly engaged me.
As you went through the country, obviously, from the South and up through the Midwest and up, through the Northwest, obviously people are different everywhere, and the people are, have common interests everywhere as well. But I guess you kind of saw more of, away from the big cities, which small town people, which I think you don't really hear from them as often as maybe we should on TV or radio or read about them. So you get a different perspective, don't you, from talking to those kind of folks?
Yeah, I would say you do. I mean, one of the reasons we didn't spend much time in big cities was a practical reason of towing a trailer. I had a total length of about 42 feet, and I'm sure if I were a long-haul trucker by profession, I would have no problem with that. But I wanted to stay out of cities just for the practical reason of it being too difficult to drive through cities with a rig like that. And so we were more or less constrained to rural areas and small towns. And yeah, you don't hear a lot from those people very much anymore, because at best they comprise now only about 15% of the entire population.
You talk about the trailer that you drove. I guess you gave it a name, right?
Yeah, it was a 1962 renovated Airstream Globetrotter that was named Ethel.
Ethel, that's it, yeah.
The pickup truck that pulled it was called Fred. And for people who are old enough to remember I Love Lucy, or who are young but follow I Love Lucy reruns, Fred and Ethel Mertz were Lucy and Ricky Ricardo's neighbors on the TV series.
And also, Lucille Ball and Desi Inez made a movie called The Long Trailer. I don't know if you ever saw that, where they drove around.
I never saw it, but I was reminded of it a number of times along the way.
Well, those great old Airstreams, I mean, that's like pretty much the same design they've always had, maybe some modifications, but you go out on the road, you occasionally see one nowadays, and that really is almost an American tradition there, just to have one of those. If you had one, lucky to have one, and just travel. That was the way to go.
Yeah, I think of it as the iconic American travel vehicle.
Yeah, great looking vehicle. And I know we just have limited time, but as you made your way through, I found it interesting some of the stories you had of reading some of the, meeting some of the Native American folk along the way, and kind of sad, some of the conditions that they live in, but interesting nonetheless to meet them, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, it's more than sad. It can be downright depressing on some of the Indian reservations, and especially considering that they were here before all of us. But we had we met a lot of people. I'd say in a more upbeat way of life. I remember being in Tennessee and visiting what claims to be the oldest continuously operating hippie commune in America, called the Farm. And then speaking of the Farm, we met a woman in Missouri named Carol Springer, who lives on a cattle farm that the land was originally granted to her great grandfather by President James Madison.
Wow.
And she's the sixth generation to operate the farm, and her son is going to be the seventh.
Wow. Yeah, great characters in the book. And again, we have limited time today, but hopefully the folks out there listening will get a taste of it, want to get it. It's called The Longest Road. We've been talking with Philip Caputo today. And Phil, I know it's done well already since it just came out, but do you have a website you can get a hold of it?
Yeah, it's www.philipcaputo, all one word, and the last name spelled CAPUTO.com.
Great. Phil, good to talk to you. Pleasure to have read your book, and hopefully we can talk again sometime. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you.